Hey everybody, it's Paul. I'm going to show you how I do grades. I know Epic grades can be a huge headache, especially my first, even up until last year was a headache. I had a lady, Tina Barber, one of our principals, she took me aside and what she told me was just to keep it simple. And keeping it simple allows me to sleep at night, and that's good. That's a positive. And here's the way I do it. Now, 50% of my grades comes from these things. These are things I tend to get attendance points for. Also, homework helper is one of them, and I'll usually give like 10% to each. I can customize that per student or per situation. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I used to require students to do a one homework helper session a week. I no longer do that. Same with Study Island. Most of them I do, some of them I don't. It's just kind of student by student basis. I tell them as long as they get their homework helper orientation done, I'll give them that 10%. I believe in giving them a little bit of push forward, positive push. Our kids haven't had that. The other 50% is going to come from core. Core doesn't necessarily have to be online. It can be offline too. I'll talk about how I do that in just a little bit. Now, core can be confusing. What the student sees sometimes is not what actual reality is. A student can look and see that they got a 90, and they might only have 10% of their pace done. And if that's what they have, they don't really have a 90 if you're sitting in week 9. Okay, what they're going to have is actually a 45. Parents can see the same thing. So this kind of explains it. What I do is I just adjust it and I let those parents know that it's adjusted and that it can be a little confusing. Now here's an example of a student, Donald. Donald does everything that I ask him to do. He goes to meetings, communicates meetings. Every 2 weeks I try to meet with him. If they miss, I count that for 2 weeks. I count 10 points off. Communications, if they don't talk to me throughout the week, I count 10 points off. Homework help, if they get an orientation done, we're good. Study Island, as long as they're doing what I ask, we're good on that. And benchmarks are very, very important. I give them credit for the benchmarks. If they do them for me, that's jumping through hoops. I'll give them some credit in the books. The way I got the core is I got Donald here at 82%, and he's at 30% pace. He should be at 60% because it's week probably 10. And I'm going to give him 21 points for that. So Donald's going to get a 71. He's done everything I asked. He's just not doing really great in his core. Here's Mickey. Mickey's missed meetings. He's missed communication. Okay, Mickey's kind of fallen off the books here a little bit. Grade-wise, he's okay. He's at where he should be. So he's got 90% 50%. He should be at 50% for the year, so he's going to get 45 points. But he's not getting points for meetings and communication. If they haven't talked to you in 2 weeks, you need to communicate with the principal, and that's grounds for withdrawal. Um, and sometimes just that threat can get students back on pace, especially when the mom hears it. Here's Donald Trump. Donald's doing pretty good in his core. He's going to get 47 points, but he's missed his benchmarks. Guys, that's a game changer right there. You need to call your principal. You need to set up a path. That's going to hurt you in financially as far as your bonus goes. It's going to hurt you. It's going to hurt your performance. It's going to make you B to an A. This is a student that they really need to get taken care of. Epics, it's like ditch digging. If you get hired as a ditch digger, you've got to dig some ditches. If not, you're going to get fired. I tell my students that it's a requirement, and if they don't meet it, they'll be withdrawn. I've been told we can't do that, but you got to swing whatever stick you can pick up. The way I do that is I count it towards all my participation points. So they're only going to get half of their attendance points with me if it's benchmarks because I've kind of weighted this in there a little bit differently now that they've missed benchmarks. Um, and I put it on an adjustment scale, if you want to call it that. But I'm gonna at the end of the 9 weeks, Epic is going to withdraw them, and I'm not, and that helps tide things over a little bit. Now here's Cleopatra. This is an example of an adjusted scale. Cleopatra is one of these girls that she's in. She does a lot of offline stuff, and or maybe she's a student in the past has had trouble. And I'm trying to catch her back up. It's basically done a simple. Did she do what I asked? If she did what I asked, I'm going to give her full 50 points. Okay, if she didn't, I'm going to give her. If she did half, I'm going to give half. Here I say she did 6, so she did half of the 7 points. So she's going to earn 38 points. It's kind of a little mathematical thing. She's going to get overall 78, even though she's over here in on the left side. She's the little thing she hasn't done is homework help, but that's going to help her a little bit or hurt her a little bit. But she needs to get it. She should have got it done. Now, assignment points. And this is the tricky thing is you got to go into those things too. Testing, I give them, and I should have put on here 10 points. If it's a map tester and they do all the tests, I give them 10 points. And that's in 1 week session. 1 week. In 1 week, I give them that. Try to get them done. Put those in the first week. Now, weekly, as I go through, I'm only going to give them credit for that test benchmark and testing once. But weekly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them a half point per subject per week, and that can add up to, that adds up. If there's six, that's like 3 points right there. If the meetings and communication, I give them 1 point a week, so that's going to be four. If they've done the blue ribbons like I asked them to, I'm going to give them one, and if they've done more, I'll give them 2 points. So we got a potential of 6 points here. If you average that out, that's 54 points. I could get over almost 65 points. 65 points, that would take them way over the requirement. You don't want to make too many points because then you can get into trouble if they you want to kind of close so that let Epic withdraw them if necessary. No, I'm tired. It's too cold. It's too hot because Epic is really tough. Honestly, there's nothing like it. You know, it, and I'm going to give Epic credit for what it's doing because it's impacting lives. Military is saying about the mission. It's the mission that's important, and that's what it is. To me, I don't like grade books. I don't like doing benchmarks. I got to do them. I'm hired as a ditch digger. I'm going to dig a ditch, but it's a mission, and it's meeting with kids. It's impacting their lives. So many of them come to us with no success, and I'm up on the soapbox here, but guys, our job's to get in there, give them some success, and get them through. They might not do well on the test. That might hurt you financially. I know it's one of those things we got to worry about. But in the end, I just focus on the mission. When I start feeling down about grade books or all that other stuff, I just go meet with some kids and I pat them on the back, love on them, and get them through the year. And what you'll find is those first year students that you struggle with that are terrible, and you lose sleep and you withdraw them, and you will. If they come back, they're going to do better the second year, and then eventually one day they'll graduate, and it'll be because of you. Keep the mission foremost and make it your focus, not pacing, guys, not grade book. Keeping the mission there, guys. Hey, if I can be of any help, don't be afraid to call me. If this is confusing, I'm sorry. If you want to use it, great. If you don't, that's okay. Everyone has their own system and way of doing things. This is just how I do mine. It's not perfect. There's some flaws in it, but it gets me through. And like I said, I used to be very literal and write everything down and keep spreadsheets. And guys, you could literally spend 2 whole days just doing grade book, and it's not worth it. You got to keep a balance between your profession and your private life, and it's in the end it's the turtle that wins the race. Anyway, peace out, take care, have a great week, make it an epic week. Bye.